What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Paste Studio here in Midtown Manhattan, New York City. We are broadcasting to you live from the Manhattan Center on 34th Street as always, and we are here right now with a very special guest. This is Mr. Taylor Phelan. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, I'm just here in New York having a great time. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the city. Welcome to Paste. Hope it's treating you well right now. I know Paste is. I hope the city is.
Yeah. Paste has been great. I've had a few days in the city, so I've had some time to explore and hang out.
Yeah. Are you familiar at all with New York?
I've been to New York like 3 or 4 times now, and so I feel like I mean, it's a massive city, so don't get me wrong. It's still very unfamiliar to me, but I feel like with this trip, I'm starting to understand.
Put it
the
together
layout
a
of the
little
city.
bit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Cool. So Taylor, as many people know, he had your debut EP came out last year in August called One of Two.
Yep.
A very ominous title. It's like if you name first thing One of Two, you gotta come with Two of Two.
I know, right?
Right. So
Yeah.
Two of Two is coming down the road this spring. These are sort of dual EPs. They work together. One of Two came out in August. I think we're going to hear a couple songs from that, and we're also going to hear a new song from Two of Two today. So let's start it off with a song. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to open up with.
Yeah, so this first one I'm going to play was the first single, still is, but was the first single off of the first half, One of Two. It's a song called Settled Down. I actually co-wrote it with the producer that I worked with, Josh Niles, and songs usually take me a while to like pump out. I mean, there's some songs that I've been working on for a year or more, but this one came out pretty quickly for me, and I think it's really timely. It's a really timely song. It's certainly inspired by our current just political and cultural climate, but it really approaches where we are as a country, as people, from like a human perspective. Like a lot of what I'm talking about in the song is more. It has more to do with like our human nature than it does like our political perspectives or something. So, I feel like it's important to explain that a little bit with a song like this, because depending on where you're coming from, what perspective you have, I don't want the meaning of the song to be hijacked by any one party.
Easier now than ever.
Yeah,
for that to
right.
happen.
So it's easy to be hijacked by anyone, but really Settle Down is a song that stands in the middle of all of the political perspectives or religious belief systems, and it's calling for somewhat of a ceasefire, and we tend to dehumanize people who are different than us, or who don't believe or agree with the things that we hold so closely. And so settle down is just kind of addressing that, is at the core of it, the human nature problem there. So
all right, cool.
within our body there's a core infection, and every time that we choose a side, it weakens the poor connection to our hearts from our minds. We turn our back on our helpless brother and then define him as a social class. It's human nature to divide each other, 'cause we're all afraid to finish last. And I know it's hard sometimes, we're making it worse. Let's try to see things from the other side. Let's change it up. Or do you want to see how far this goes? We've had enough. All this blow from above. And let's settle down, settle down, settle down, settle down. In every kingdom there's a crooked figure that makes it easy to assign the blame. And from the bottom it's an unfair picture, but in the end you see we're all the same. Oh, can you be certain that you do much better? It can't be easy to have all the power. Can we decide not to oppress each other, or is it bred into the skin of ours? And I know it's hard sometimes, but we're making it worse. Let's try to see things from the other side. Let's change it up. Or do you want to see how far this goes? We've had enough. All this blow from blow. And let's settle down, settle down, settle down, settle down. See how far this goes. We've had enough. All this blow from blow. Let's change it up. Or do you wanna see how far this goes? We've had enough. Oh, all this blow from blow. And let's settle down, settle down, settle down, settle down.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
sorry, I
thanks.
threw you a little curveball right at the beginning there. You know, I spend half my life telling people to turn the volumes down on their phones before we go live. So every now and again, Karma like comes around and like slaps me right in the face. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about these EPs, right? So one of two came out in August.
Yeah.
Two of two is coming down the line sometime this spring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was listening to, you know, when I first heard number one, that was the first song that I heard, Settle Down. And I was going back and listening to number two of two, and some of the songs on it. And one thing that sort of struck me, aside from like, you know, there's a really big sound on these records, which
Yeah.
is kind of amazing coming from where it seems like maybe you kind of compose in this sort of way. Is that right? And then build them out?
Yeah,
Is
you
that
know,
fair to assume?
I would say that the majority of the time that's how it works.
Yeah.
I've toyed with a lot of different ways, like programming synth stuff first, and you know, writing a drum track and a bass line, and then you know, writing on top of it. But I would say that you're right. Yeah, the majority of the songs on these two releases, and even in the past, I've you know, written on the edge of my bed or at a piano, you know?
Yeah. And so, you know, Settle Down was the first song I heard. I was listening to two of two, and it seemed like the songwriting is pretty personal on this second one, whereas Settle Down was something that did have kind of like big themes,
Yeah.
social kind of import. These songs were much more intimate. Seemingly. Was that sort of something that you, a transition you made from one to two?
No, not necessarily. But it is interesting. You're actually the first person to like bring that up, and I haven't even thought about that. But it is true that the songs on two of two are more personal songs, and I don't know, that wasn't intentional in any way. It just kind of happened
Sort of happens
the way
that
the way that we split them up, because I recorded them all at the same time, and then we just we decided how to pair them, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting that the most natural way to group them together was, you know, in that way. So, but yeah, I mean, they, you know, thematically, two of two, I would say is a little bit more personal. So
Yeah. What was the decision to, you know, so you had this batch of songs. You know, you put out one of two, obviously knew that two of two was coming, hence the titles.
Yep.
What was the sort of the motivation behind that, to split them into two EPs like that?
Honestly, I wish I could say that it was like artistically motivated, but it's really just a practical one, like the way that we everyone consumes music now.
Yeah, sort of like
it's at a rapid pace, you know.
Right.
So a lot of times I feel like you know people release their entire record, but it's only half of it that's really listened to anyway.
Yeah.
And so as we started like preparing for this release and just kind of dreaming up and thinking through what it looked like, we just collectively decided that it felt like each song would get its own like the right, you know, kind of listen and attention.
Yeah.
If we split it into two halves.
So do you have like, you know, like a stockpile of songs that are like waiting to get to the
I
next
wish.
EP?
No, I wish. No, I wish. I like that's what I mean is like I'm not one of those writers that I don't write a song a day. You know, I don't have like a Bob Dylan, you know, stockpile of hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
or anything like that. It's the writing. I love it, but it really is a labor of love for me. And I the way that I write, I refine things in real time, you know. So like I get rid of ideas, like get rid of songs where I'm just like I don't know, I don't have a vision for it, and so I throw it away, you know.
Yeah.
And the ones that I feel like I can. Oh, that's my watch. Let's just see how many alarms and things we can have go off.
This is live TV, man. You know.
Yeah, I refine and revise songs in real time, and so it takes me a while, man. To like.
Well, it makes what comes out, I guess, all the more special, right? They made it through. They made it through the system.
Yeah, right.
So we're gonna do a couple more. I think this next one is also from one of two. Came out last summer. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So this one, this song is just the way I tend to write is I have, you know, a scenario or a feeling or a thought, you know, that just like crosses through my mind. It's just a single, you know, thought or feeling, and then I'll kind of write a, you know, fictional story around it or apply it to my own life and just life in general, you know. But this one was one where I built kind of a fictional scenario in my mind, and it's really just, this song is about, it's a love song, but it's about, you know, really thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, and then in time realizing that it's not, you know, and coming back to, you know, what is true and what your home is. So it's called Desire. We felt alive in the desert. I drew a line from your heart, and still I thought we were tethered. But in this city we've drifted apart. It's the will of the ghost light to lead the travelers astray. I'll keep you warm tonight, hold you close in the bed that we've made. This time, you know I'll never let you go again. This time, on our journey towards the sunset, we built a family by the sea, where the land and the water met. We took a chance to listen for what we need. This time, you know I'll never let you go again. This time, we're missing out on what we prayed for. So you were looking in the arms of desire, took a step inside the demon's door, giving in to the passion and fire. Desire, you were running right down to the wire. So you were laying in the arms of another. Tame your mind, don't let your heart wander. Down, da-dee-dee, down, da-dee-dee, down, down. This time, you know I'll never let you go again. This time. We're missing out on what you prayed for. So you were looking in the arms of desire. You took a step inside the demon's door, giving in to the passion and fire of desire. You're running right down to the wire. You're laying in the arms of another. Tame your mind, don't let your heart wander. Thanks.
Taylor, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're up to 2 of 2. And I was listening to 2 of 2. I was thinking back on the fact that I know when I first heard your name, you were in a band. And that band was out of Chicago.
Yep.
It was called The Canes.
Yeah.
And, I was wondering, like, so, in a relatively short period of time, you've done the band thing, and now you've been out on your own. It must be easier to write songs this way, right?
Oh man, I wish that were true. I'm such like, I feel like I'm wired to be a band guy. You know, in some ways, I'm a solo artist. Again, out of just it being the most practical thing after being on The Voice, and having that experience and my name, being the thing with the platform, But I love collaboration, and I love co-writing, and I love leaning on other musicians and thoughts, and kind of stretching each other and pushing each other. And so in some ways it is because I'm the dictator.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But in other ways I feel a little more isolated, and like I'm only I only have my ideas.
Right. Yeah. So. And so you were on. You mentioned The Voice. It was season 7.
Yep.
And we've had some folks on the show here that were contestants. And I'm always curious, like especially in your case, because you made it far, you did well, but you didn't win the whole thing. So you're not put on this kind of like pop culture pedestal for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So all things considered, I mean, you were in a band, you got a solo career going now, and you're writing your own songs. Like, is that experience helpful to you as an artist?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think that, in a lot of ways, like where we all are right now is just, an accumulation of all the things that we've ever done, right? So for me, I can say that what I'm doing now is in some ways a direct result from my time on the show. And I'm not like ashamed of that by any means. I think it's just a part of the story along the way for me, and I'm able to leverage it and use it for what it is, and then in other circles, like I have to lean on my artistry outside of that.
Yeah.
So I am like a fanboy of these shows in the sense that I'm like, yeah, well, they're good for anybody. You can use it. Anybody can use it. And so, I had a great time on the show, and I think that I learned a lot. And as long as you go in and come out with, no expectations and just kind of an open hand, taking from it what you can, and trying your best to not, drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily directly from the show, but the whole world.
Right. Everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
One thing I'm definitely curious about is there a part of you that is glad that you didn't win it? That like you were there, you were on television, you advanced, you performed a lot, but you then were not sort of put in this position of being like something that then had to be marketed by these great big.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that is certainly where I sit, where I'm like, I feel like my run was perfect. It was perfectly timed. I went out early enough to where people were upset about it, you know? And I don't know if anybody was, I mean, I'm sure that are some people who are saying I stayed in too long, but you know what I mean? The general consensus wasn't like, oh, he was in there way too long, way past when he should, you know? It was like, the general consensus was like, what happened? How did that happen? So that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah,
it kind of put me in the position of being the underdog, and everybody likes the underdog, you know? So at the end of the day, that is it. There is something in me that's like, man, I wish I would have stayed on longer, because I feel like I'm capable of so much more.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like at the time I went out, I was just getting comfortable with the complexity of the environment. You know what I mean? And the unfamiliarity with a massive, you know, production like that.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So in some ways I'm like, oh dang, but I mean, big picture, it couldn't have played out any better.
Yeah, cool. Well, and now, of course, you're a natural in our massive television production.
Yeah,
here,
no, I mean,
with the thousands of people sitting behind me who are very well behaved.
Yeah, right.
You know, and like all of these
Thank you all for
cameramen
coming.
everywhere. People can't see it, but this is
Yeah,
some
yeah.
serious shit going on right here. We're gonna do one more today with Taylor, and this one is from 2 of 2, which is coming out in the spring. Tell us a little bit about this last song.
Yeah, so this song is called Long Way Down, and it'll be the first single off of the second half. And I'm someone who I mean, we have Google at our fingertips, you know, so we all have smartphones. There's nothing that we shouldn't know, right? So if I have a thought or something, I'm someone who does a little bit of research on it. I'm like, well, I should know about that. And I was in one of those moments, and I was reading about, you know, purgatory or something in some belief system. I can't even remember what the article was that I was reading about. And I just had this thought pop into my head that, and this sort of vision about the way that we like tend to go about life, and we stack up these, you know, we store up all these like really insignificant things in our life, you know, and we kind of we build our lives out of it, you know, and they're not necessarily bad things, you know, but they're you know, in the grand scheme of things, they're relatively insignificant and not very meaningful. And so I wrote Long Way Down out of this place of like, you know, when we get to the end of it all and we realize what our lives were made out of, and we you know, did you stack up a tower of stuff, you know, and if so, the fall is a long one. It's a long fall from there, you know, and so how far is your fall, you know? So this song's called Long Way Down. Ordinary soul on a one-way road. Oh, what am I fighting for? Everything points to the building of a throne, a monument to fool's gold. I open the door to the world at war, and our houses had fallen down. Is there no way back? Am I too late now? What can I do to get me out? It's a long way down. God, I pray my bones won't lie in the middle of this wasted town. Well, it'll pick you up, but there's one way out. It gets easier the more you've got to lose. It's a long way down, a long way down, a long way down. The walls down and the curtains torn. Where my life once stood, I can trace each step through the moments I missed and the ones I never thought that it would. My world became just what I made it. Oh, and I now know what I gave up. Oh, it's a long way down. God, I pray my bones bones won't lie in the middle of this wasted town. Well, it'll pick you up, but there's one way out. It gets easier the more you've got to lose. It's a long way down, a long way down, a long way down. It's a long way down. God, I pray my bones won't lie in the middle of this wasted town. It'll pick you up, but there's one way out. It gets easier the more you've got to lose. It's a long way down, a long way down, a long way down.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great new song. That is from the EP called 2 of 2, which comes out sometime in the very near future. No date
Very
yet,
near
but
future.
it's
Yeah.
imminent.
Yeah, it's coming. It has to come. One
And,
of two,
then-
two
and
of
this
two.
is the capper, right? So next
Yeah.
is like another 1 of 4,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
2 of 4. There's no 3 in this
No,
one. You've
no.
already set that out like from the beginning.
No.
This is it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is it. So, but I have considered just making this my thing, where I just come out with series.
Yeah, right.
Series.
Yeah, series. I think series. Yeah,
series?
come out with series. Right. So you just have to pick the end number, right?
Yeah, right.
So
Maybe
the
I should
next
just
thing-
set it way out, like
yeah, exactly,
78.
Like 1 of 50.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right, exactly. And like that way, like,
It's like-
decades from now, you'll still have a record contract because someone has to let you
Right.
finish this thing. Yeah. No, that's a good plan. I like that. So the debut EP was called 1 of 2, came out in August. And now 2 of 2, the second half of that. 7 songs each. Is that right?
7 songs on the first, 6 songs
6?
only made it on the second.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Well, you got a head start on the next
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
So go check those out, TaylorPhelan.com. You're on tour right now. There is a show tonight coming up in Philadelphia.
In Philly, I'm
At Kung Fu
like
Necktie.
walking out of here and
Yeah, you
hopping
gotta-
on an Amtrak.
Yeah,
Go
I
meet
was
the
going to say
guys.
you got to drive ahead of you, but that's
Yeah,
good. Better,
no.
So just
Well,
get
the
on.
guys are already there. They're setting up right now, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get you out of here, man. So everyone, go check out TaylorPhelan.com. You can find videos and music and tour dates there, and pick up 1 of 2, which came out in August, and look out for 2 of 2, which comes out soon enough.
Soon.
All right, man. So this is Taylor Phelan, dude. Thank you so much for
Seriously,
coming
thank
and
you guys
playing
so
in our
much for
Paste
having
Studio
me.
for us today.
I really appreciate Paste's support, and you guys have been excellent. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, man. Come back and play for us again anytime. All right. All right.